Welcome to the Academy, a series focused on the basics of Star Wars: The Old Republic. You may have heard other players talking about mirror classes, mirror combat styles, mirror disciplines, or just using the term mirror in general when talking about Star Wars: The Old Republic. In the game, when it comes to combat, the game was originally split into two factions, and each class, advanced class and discipline, was a reflection of its counterpart on the other side. It would function the same in combat, but it would have different ability names, icons, and most importantly, different animations. This meant that players who knew how to play a class on one faction could easily jump over to the other faction and play their favorite mirrored counterpart. And all they'd have to do was first figure out what abilities corresponded to the ones they already knew. Mirror classes often can also share gear, which makes jumping between characters even easier at a high level. After a recent expansion, combat styles, which used to be known as advanced classes, are no longer so strongly tied to what you want to play for your story. For example, the commando with his big gun used to be exclusive to the trooper story, but can now be played by troopers, bounty hunters, smugglers, and even Imperial agents. But players still call two combat styles or disciplines that play the same mirror classes. With the addition of a second combat style available for subscribers, players can even technically play their original combat style and its mirror on the same character and swap between the two with ease. A common example of this is players picking the Marauder and then picking the Sentinel, so they can have fun and swap between having dark side looking abilities to having light side ones depending on how they feel that day. You'd only really have to learn one and then simply memorize the icons for the second. Another really useful thing about mirror styles with a second combat style is that you could add a secondary combat style for a different role that you already know from the opposite faction, like a healer or a tank, to an existing character to make them even more versatile. But you could still keep their ability set roleplay friendly or have different flavors by picking the mirror class instead. So for example, if I already know how to play the Sage healer with all its beautiful light side abilities, on my Sith assassin who's normally a tank, I could add on the sorcerer as her second combat style and be able to heal by using the Sith sorcerer heal corruption discipline, which I already kind of know by playing the Sage. The most common use of playing a mirror class is if you have only one character so far that you've learned, but you want to play with friends on the opposite faction. You can catch up to their skill level very quickly if you make a mirror class, as you already know about the abilities and should be able to share at least some of your gear between those two characters, as all high-level gear is now legacy bound and can be mailed back and forth or placed in the shared legacy bay. The big catch is if they don't share weapons, you'll need to get two sets. For example, the Assassin and Shadow mirror combat styles both use a double-bladed lightsaber, so they can share. But the Sniper and the Commando, who are also mirrors, use a sniper rifle and an assault cannon. They're very different weapons, so they can't share. When you're creating a tech-based character, you'll be able to choose from any of the mirrors available. Just be aware they aren't marked in any way and sometimes change location in the character creator so they don't line up with their mirrors. If you want to create a mirror of one of your existing characters or avoid accidentally making a mirror that'll play the same, you'll want to memorize that the Sniper is the mirror of the Gunslinger, the Operative is the mirror of the Scoundrel, the Mercenary is the mirror of the Commando, and the Power Tech is the mirror of the Vanguard. If you're creating a Force-using character, things are a bit tricky. New players will have access only to half the mirrors, split between light side and dark side, Republic and Empire. Experienced players can unlock all the mirror styles for their future characters, and will have all options showing. If you're making a Force-using mirror, you'll want to memorize that the Sorcerer is the mirror of the Sage, the Assassin is the mirror of the Shadow, the Marauder is the mirror of the Sentinel, and the Juggernaut is the mirror of the Guardian. As long as you pick the right combat style for your mirror, you're good to go, as changing your discipline, the final choice, is easy to do in-game and isn't permanent. Once you've created your character, you can press K on your keyboard to open the discipline selection. You may need to wait until you've reached a rest area like a cantina or the fleet before you can switch if you don't have the Field Respec unlock, which is available to experienced players in the character perks section of the Legacy window. It costs 200,000 credits and lets you change disciplines outside of a rest area as long as you aren't in combat or in an instance or queue. Not sure what mirror discipline matches up with the one you already know how to play? Here's a quick chart. There's 48 disciplines total available in the game, and it goes down to 24 if you count the mirrors. Learning to play your mirror class once you've created your character can be a bit tricky because you still need to figure out which icons and abilities match the ones you already know. If you want to learn your mirror disciplines or combat style, I've got some great news. I've got a series of guides for all 48 disciplines that will show you the icons and names of each of your mirror abilities. I've put a link to this in the description of this video. Have fun, I'm really happy with this project. Although classes can no longer have mirrors themselves and are now actually called origin stories, for example, the Trooper or the Jedi Consular is an origin story, not a class, players still often use the old class terms when talking about mirrors for their combat styles. For example, I may say the Trooper tank is the same as the Bounty Hunter tank, but what I mean is that the Vanguard tank is the same as the Power Tech tank because originally they were tied to the Trooper and the Bounty Hunter. It's just left over from when combat was split up by faction. So back in the day, the Trooper was the mirror of the Bounty Hunter, the Smuggler was the mirror of the Imperial Agent, the Jedi Knight was the mirror of the Sith Warrior, and the Jedi Consular was the mirror of the Sith Inquisitor. Like I said, these mirror terms are pretty deprecated, but there's a good chance you may come across them when looking up guides or just talking with a friend who's been playing the game for a long time. I hope you enjoyed this video about what mirror classes are and how they work in Star Wars: The Old Republic. I'd love to hear in the comments below, do you guys play any mirror classes or do you tend to avoid them to get a fresh look every time you play? If you want to show your support for this series and in-depth guides about your favorite game, please visit Swtorista.com/support. And if you want more videos like this to show up on your YouTube homepage, subscribe to this channel. And as always, may the Force, both light and dark, be with you.